So this is video 4 in our series, part of the Adult ADHD course, and we're looking at possibly a darker aspect of this topic, emotional dysregulation. There are 3 particular flavors we're going to look at. Emotional dysregulation, a little bit about overreacting in other ways. It's something we need to learn about, and then we need to learn to manage. So just a definition from a kind of a conflation of several definitions. An inability to flexibly respond to and manage emotional states. I note down the bottom an updated European consensus statement. This aspect, emotional dysregulation, in this particular statement is now one of 6 key indicators for ADHD. Now, in some ways, I'm not sure whether it's a cause or an effect. It's an unresolved issue. The idea being that if you've spent most of your life with a difficult situation in your schooling, where you've got ADHD, and everybody's continually at you for not keeping still or talking too much or not being able to restrain yourself from putting up your hand or getting involved or interrupting and so on, then it might be quite normal and logical that later on in life you're a bit emotionally dysregulated. Alternatively, it might be part of the lack of dopamine pathways in the brain. There are other options and possibilities a bit outside of our scope today. But moving on. As far as the DSM goes, we've talked about the 3 main flavors of adult ADHD. We've added in impulsivity. Outside of America, emotional dysregulation is it is regarded by the profession as a strong indicator of ADHD. So we have the 4 aspects: inattention, hyperactivity, impulsivity, and emotional dysregulation as indicators. This is just a little exercise which I find incredibly helpful in all sorts of settings. Box breathing is where you go like this. You go breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. This has come from the mental health profession. Apparently we can't do 2 things at once. We can't be anxious and do box breathing. And this is another example of a simple thing done regularly that is very effective. There are some interesting books which have ADHD characters or autistic characters. One of them is Finding Farby, which is written by a guy from Rangiora. And in it just says at one stage she felt the walls closing in, she felt things rising in her emotions. She just did a bit of box breathing and then went off to catch the bad guys. It's a habit. It's a tool in your toolkit, and it is so simple. Breathing, very much part of relaxing, of quietness, of meditation, of being in the moment. If you're a parent, co-worker, tutor, you can do this. Okay, let's just breathe for a moment. We're just about to start a test. Take a moment just to breathe, become present. Okay, we've just finished a test. Let's take a moment. All right, so we're just about to drive off on vacation. It's been a bit stressful getting the car packed. Let's take a moment to breathe, build it into your routines, make it a habit. If we're doing this workshop face to face, then we'd probably stop and spend a little bit of time looking at this. This is the ADHD iceberg, and we've got the 3 words minus emotional dysregulation at the top, and a whole bunch of other stuff, which often are part of ADHD. Some of them, as you notice, are emotional, mood swings, talk a lot, and so on. two more aspects. If we were in a workshop, we would pause and we'd just have a little bit of a talk about what's on top. If you want to do that, do a little bit of journaling. What's on top for you about ADHD based on what we've heard, just feel free to take it a few moments. Okay, so the next thing is emotional hyperarousal. A little bit different. Here's the scenario. A child, they have their iceberg. An adult, they have their iceberg. Obviously, incredibly different. In a child, hyperactivity might be right up there, visible, nearly constant, always present. But for an adult, they've learned a bit. They've learned a bit of masking, of the ability to repress it. They've grown up a bit, and so it goes underground. Hence we have this term hyperarousal. Now again, a slightly cobbled together definition. A state of heightened internal tension and awareness. Thoughts, reactions and feelings that are just more intense. And you may have seen an autistic young person having a meltdown. It just gets too much. They haven't managed to suppress it and push it inside when it becomes just living in a constant, slightly heightened awareness state. These are three questions that you will find your ADHD children thinking about. You will think about your buddies. How anxious? What's the cause for anxiety? What do I do with my anxiety? Do I feel safe? Can I relax or should I be worried? Pathological demand avoidance. We don't have time to talk about that today. It's just Google it. PDA is a whole wonderful group of people in England that research and teach and present on this. You may need to consult a specialist in this area, the emotional area. You may need help. And quite frankly, almost everybody that I've talked to on this, I would say, it makes you feel exhausted and tired. Even the most upset person who's just letting it all out has the sense, I shouldn't be like this. The final idea, the first one was emotional dysregulation. The second one was hyperarousal, that little simmering thing. The third is rejection sensitivity dysphoria. You are sensitive when you feel reaction or when you feel rejected. So the definition, again, cobbled together, when rejection causes you to have significantly heightened, intense, negative feelings and severe emotional pain that's difficult to control. So putting that in context, most of us don't like rejection, but usually on a day-to-day basis we can manage it. It comes and generally quickly we can bring it under control. But sometimes with ADHD, it's not like that. It becomes front and center, on and fully blown, out of control inside, and severely painful to us. It's beyond our scope to talk too much about that at the moment. And just to note, this is not an official formal diagnosis, but doctors use this term. Rejection sensitive dysphoria. So I like this writer, James N. M. Oshia, I'm not sure. So he has written about other ADHD symptoms. The ones that are emotionally driven. And here's what he says. I've adapted this. There's good news and there's bad news. You do have some choices to make. Whatever it is that you're struggling with, it won't disappear on its own. One way or another, you'll have to manage this for the rest of your life. hopefully maybe that's a bit of an overstatement. Number 2.2. If you choose not to manage it, it will continue to erode your sense of emotional, mental and physical well-being. Note, it spills over into your mind and probably into your body as well. Number 3, but do not despair. This is James M. speaking. It can be navigated. Number 4, you are not broken. Number 5, you can live a full, interesting and potential reaching life. Unfortunately though, it's hard, it's tiring and it can be painful, but it's probably worth it. There are strong links between ADHD and these emotional issues. You need to understand them. It may be an effect coming from having ADHD rather than a cause, or it may be part of the whole ADHD package. We don't know. That's why it's hard, and that's why we feel so exhausted, and why it's so painful. That's it. That's the 4th video finished. Thank you. Coming up, part 5. Now this has been the most commented on aspect of this whole talk in the several times that I've given this presentation, the interest-based nervous system. Thank you.